everybody. Happy Monday. Happy June 22nd. I hope you're all doing well. And those of you that are dads, I hope you had a great Father's Day weekend. I know the dads in my life did. So today we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. And it is the leadership archetype advantage. So have you ever wondered or worked with someone who was incredibly talented, but their personality got in their way? And you knew it. You knew that they were capable of so much more, but that personality and ego seemed to run the ship. I want you to flip that question around. Have you ever realized your own strengths can sometimes become your greatest challenges? You see, we know what we're capable of doing for the most part, and we have a hard time being told what to do when we already feel that we know the answer or the right way to do something. So today we're going to talk about leadership, and we're going to go beyond just the skills, because it's not just the fact that you've had the experience, the education, the positions, the training. You've had it all, right? We get that. But it's about awareness. It's about really understanding how you can influence yourself to do more and to be greater, and then also influence other individuals. So identity and personality patterns always operate beneath the surface, always. So today we're going to explore why people lead differently, because not one person leads the exact same way. And it's interesting because they could have the same experience, they could have the same education, they could work for the same company for the same amount of time, but their leadership style and skills are unique to them. Okay? We're also going to talk about why communication breaks down. And again, understanding the ego piece of that and who we are as individuals and how we're wired. We're going to talk about some leaders overthinking while others will move way too quickly without thinking. They'll just do, okay? And what's the difference and why we're wired one way versus another way. We're also going to understand why our archetypes create a greater influence and effectiveness in our everyday leadership style. So each and every one of us are a leader in some way, shape, or form, whether you're a leader for a team, for a company, whether you're in an executive role or maybe a middle management role, or maybe you're just leading one or two people, or you're a leader within your household, you're a leader within your community. Everybody is a leader because everybody has a voice, and your voice is influencing others in one way, shape, or form. So I don't want you to sit here and think, well, I'm not in a leadership role, so this does not pertain, because I promise you it pertains more than you think. And I also promise you that you want to stay till the end, because I am going to be offering you something that is invaluable to truly understand who you are as an individual. And I'm going to be having you identify your own individual archetype. So we're going to get to that towards the end. So let's explore this a little bit more. So I like to call this the hidden operating system, okay? Think of your personality as leadership, as a leadership operating system, okay? Most people spend their careers upgrading software, All right. So let's think of it as a software system. Your communication skills, your management techniques, your sales strategies, your leadership courses, you're constantly building and educating, right? But few people ever examine the operating system underneath that. Okay. The challenge is your strengths often create your blind spots. Sounds contradictory, doesn't it? Your strengths often create your blind spots. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple examples. A highly driven leader may unintentionally overwhelm others. If you are a really type A driven individuals that are not wired like you can find your leadership style incredibly intimidating, overwhelming, and demotivating. That could destroy your business, could destroy the breakdown of communication within your community, your household, your life, okay? Highly compassionate leader may avoid difficult conversations. If you're really empathic and you're built to really feel and care for other people's emotions, you're going to have a hard time having those hard conversations. You're not going to be able to separate because you're going to feel their feels, okay? So that is something that a really empathic and compassionate leader needs to take into consideration and work on. A visionary leader may struggle with execution. They could see the vision start to finish, but they need strategy to get them from point A to point B to point C. They could see it, but they don't have the innate systems in place to get them there. Okay. And then a deal-oriented leader may struggle to delegate because you know why? They're always going to feel like they could just do it all, right? And then they burn themselves out. And people that work for them or alongside them feel like they can never be an asset to this individual because they always take everything on. Okay. So the goal isn't about changing who you are. The goal is identifying and being aware of how you're wired and how you could lead with more intention and how you can use your shortcomings to find those little holes within your archetype model to fill them in with individuals that have strengths in those specific areas. Because it takes a village. It's not just one person doing it all, even though some people, depending on how they're wired, think that they can. That's not the goal. The goal is to identify who you are as an individual and fill in those holes with people that are rock stars with all the things that you lack. Okay. And being innately aware that you lack these things and not get really hard on yourself because you don't have those assets. You're not supposed to. You're not wired that way. Simple. Okay. So this brings me into introducing you to the DMR Personality Archetype. Now, when I left corporate America, one of my strengths that I knew was that I was really good at identifying other people's strengths, that I was really good at hiring, and I was really good at putting people in the right positions because I was able to innately understand where their superpowers lie. So I built a personality archetype to help individuals identify their specific personality strengths so that they could do the same thing. They can fill in the holes with people that have strengths in those other areas. And it also makes you a better leader when you understand your specific personality. So let's get into it. And you guys at the end are going to have a QR code, and you're going to be able to take this personality assessment. And I promise you, it's going to be eye-opening. So stick around. Okay, so the first one is a visionary. Now, a visionary is a big picture thinker. Okay, so this one is great at inspiring other individuals. They're very future focused and they're innovative. Okay, they love to create. They love to expand their horizons. It like fills their cup like you cannot believe. They can look at a situation and find the end result very quickly. A visionary leader is really good at the start to the finish, seeing the big picture, okay? But where they have challenges is they can become very impatient because not everybody sees their vision as broadly as they do. They may lose interest in the fine details. They love the big picture, but getting into the nitty-gritty of it is hard for them, okay? And it often starts more, they often start more projects than they finish, simply because, again, their mind is so wide and vast. They're constantly going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. That's just how they're wired, okay? So an inspiring, so this is a great leadership question for a visionary. Am I inspiring others while staying connected to execution? So if you're a visionary, are you inspiring others while you're still staying connected to that same project, like start to finish? Because being a leader of a team as a visionary, you have to remember that you have to get to the execution piece of all those big projects and big start to finishes that you think, right? So you have to make sure that you have the right strategies in place to get you there. And that brings us to our second archetype, which is the strategist. Visionaries need strategists in their team model. They need them, okay? It helps them to get to the end result. All right, so leadership strengths for a strategist is they're very organized, they're analytical, they're strong planners, they're excellent problem solvers, okay? So they could see the vision, but then they also can see the pieces within that vision to help execute to get to the final result. It's amazing. Okay, you need strategists in your world if you're a visionary, I promise you. Okay. Now, where they get challenged is they can overthink their decisions. They could be analysis paralysis, just too much going on. Difficulty moving without certainty. Okay. Strategists, because they're so analytical, they question if it's going to work constantly. They question their capabilities. They question whether they are able to get them to that final result. Okay. That's the biggest hurdle for a strategist. So a strategist needs a visionary just as much as a visionary needs a strategist. The strategist needs a visionary to help them see the big picture and that they're capable. And then the visionary needs a strategist to help them with the fine details to get there. The systems, the tools to get there. Now, ironically enough, my personal archetype is I am a visionary, but my secondary is I'm a strategist. So I am able to see the vision, but I'm also able to execute, okay? So the next one is called the new connector. All right, now these guys, again, you need these guys in your world because they are the ones that are going to collaborate with others. They're very creative, they're influential, and they build networks naturally. Okay? This, for me, is a challenge. Okay? So I need new connectors in my world to either help train me to be more of a network, a network guru, or to identify the holes in the areas where I can network more, or also to bring people into my sphere, my world, so that I am able to either close them in a sales business or just to build a relationship. New connectors are the people that say, hey, I bet Danielle and Dr. Smith should connect because they have so many synergies in place. And I'm going to connect the two of them. I'm going to start the conversation and see if I can get that rolling because I think that they would work exceptionally well together. That is what you need. So again, in your world, you need to bring new connectors. If you're a business owner, you need new connectors in your world to help start facilitating those relationships and bringing people in and building your pipeline. Okay, new connectors are very, very important. Now, some of the challenges of a new connector is they're easily distracted. Okay, they're also too many ideas at once. So they're kind of like a visionary where they got so many things going on at once and they have a hard time prioritizing and they get distracted. So you have to keep them on track. Okay, stay in your lane, execution. Okay, so can you see how all these different archetypes can really benefit and work together? Like a really, fully oiled machine. Like it just all works together. All right. Now the next archetype, which I happen to love so much, is the harmonizer. Okay, so the harmonizer is the one who is the relationship builder. The harmonizer is the really empathic one, loves building relationships. They're creative, they're team oriented. They love being part of a community, a team, a purpose. Very heartfelt. Everything that they do, even in business, is very heart driven. Okay, that is a harmonizer. The challenge with a harmonizer is they avoid conflict. So a harmonizer in a leadership role is challenging because they are not going to always address an issue head on. They are going to try to find ways to skirt around a situation, okay? And they may prioritize peace over progress. So they really need to work alongside a visionary or a strategist or a new connector to help them with things like that because they have a hard time dealing with conflict. Also, they have a hard time setting boundaries. They'll take on way too much. Like you give them, let's say that their desk is up to here with projects, initiatives, things that they have to get done, and the visionary goes to them, say, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to put it on your desk. I want you to start building relationships to execute this. The harmonizer will say, sure. Right? So it's really important for the visionary to know that the harmonizer will take on way more than they should. And what will happen is the harmonizer will end up getting burnt out and they're going to walk away, and they're not going to walk away with a whole lot of notice, because once they just get burned out, they just have to leave. So if you value that individual, you have to be very familiar. Also, it's really good with relationships, friendships, partnerships. You know, if you have a really, if you have a person in your life that is super empathic and, you know, takes on everything, don't overwhelm that person too much, because they do get to a point where they say enough is enough. Okay. So, and then the last archetype is called a maverick. All right. These guys are rebels. Okay. I think of my husband, because he used to ride motorcycles, and he used to say, rebel. That's who they are. They're rebels. Okay. So they're courageous. They're action oriented. They're competitive as can be. Okay. They are so competitive. They thrive in uncertainty. A maverick makes an incredible sales professional. Why? Because they are so competitive that they're not going to let anybody get the sale over them. They are courageous. They'll take chances that others will not. So a maverick is somebody you want on your team, especially if you are in a sales type of situation. You definitely want a maverick. But their leaderships, where they have some challenges, is they can move too fast, and it can get them in trouble, because I have hired mavericks in the past, and they were rock stars, but they ticked a lot of people off. So you have to make sure that there is a little bit of a balance, and you have to look at their secondary traits to make sure that it all kind of works out. And they may overlook collaboration where it could actually benefit them and make it even easier for them to bring in more people. Okay. And sometimes they're perceived as being too intense. Again, it has to be a balance. They make incredible sales reps, incredible leaders, incredible people that will take chances and go beyond the call of duty. Where others might be hesitant, they'll do it. But you have to remember, it could be, if they have a really high maverick percentage, you have to look at that secondary archetype, because that's gonna really make a difference. Okay. So if they're a maverick, but then they also have a little bit of their secondary is like a harmonizer, it's almost like a yin and a yang personality. They're able to balance both, which is honestly the coolest thing ever. So again, those are the type of things that you have to look for with a maverick. Now, I will tell you, it's important that you not only know your personality, but it's important that you know your tribe's personality. So because of that, and Scott, if you could put it on the screen now, that would be great. Because of that, I have put together the DMR identity assessment for you. It's 15 questions. Use this QR code and take the DMR assessment. Okay. Once you finish the DMR assessment, it will tell you your archetype, your first and your second. It'll give you a barcode, so you could, or give you a chart, and so you could see where you lie. It will show you all the archetypes and kind of what you have, because all of us are wired differently, and we could have lots of different things going on within our archetype. And if you want to learn more about what it means, then you can reach out to me directly at www.dmrsociety.com. You could schedule a 30-minute appointment with me, and I will go through your specific archetype. Now, also, you're going to notice after you take the DMR identity assessment that you'll have the option to learn even more about yourself with the DMR Birth Blueprint. Now, those of you that have been following my journey for a little while understand that I have worn the corporate hat, but I also have a real spiritual side to me. And I am certified in natal chart interpretation. So natal chart interpretation is a blueprint of the sky, like a snapshot of the sky, the moment you were born. So within the DMR birth blueprint, this takes your archetype to the next level, because not only does it blend in your archetype, but it also gets deep into how you specifically are wired. Your best personality matches, careers, what challenges you, what motivates you. It is 11 pages of nuggets and tools and scripts and things that you can use to help you not only perform better in business, but in life. So I would strongly suggest that if you are interested in learning more about yourself, that you upgrade to the DMR Birth Blueprint. And one last thing, Scott, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you should. Should be at the bottom.
See if I can do that. I'm just gonna actually, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and then I am going to allow, let me see if I could do it. The DMR assessment. No, here we go. All right. So I want to show you guys. Can you see my screen? I want to show you guys that if you go to, hold on a second, let me see if I could actually even move this. I don't know if I can. Hold on. If you go to, is it moving, Scott?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. If you go, so I also have a community, and that link that takes you to the assessment will actually bring you to the opportunity to join the community. And in there, I have, in my learning section, I have a whole section on your archetypes. So within this section, I don't know why it's not, oh, there it goes. Within this section, it talks about the visionary, the strategist, the maverick, and the connector, and it brings up a video for you to listen to. Okay, each of them are named.
Hey, I'm Molly, your visionary archetype guide.
So Molly is the visionary, and Molly will tell you everything that there is to know about being a visionary. But it also has a chat bot specifically for visionaries that you get using this password that you will be able to use within the community. So if you are interested in joining the DMR method community, I would love to have you. I'd love to talk to you about that in more detail and have you come on board. So that is it for today. We have gone through that 30 minutes like that. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful week and stay motivated and stay mindful.